everyone, it's Lucas with another Big Brother Spoilers intro. Today, we're keeping the Survivor train rolling by talking about one of the most heartfelt contestants ever on the show, Mitch Guerra. Josh sits down with Mitch, a fan favorite from Survivor 48, whose quiet determination, resilience, and personal story made him one of the most unique players of the new era. From navigating life in Fiji to finding his footing in a chaotic season, Mitch's path on the island captured a lot of attention, and now he's finally opening up about the full experience. In this interview, Mitch looks back on everything from his casting journey to the biggest moments that shaped his game, the moves he wishes he made, and how he feels about his edit now that he has had time to reflect. He also shares insight into what it was like representing the speech-impaired community on such a large platform, and how the Survivor experience changed him personally. And of course, Mitch gives his unfiltered takes on Survivor 49, such as the medevac, tribe swaps, gameplay, chaos, and who he thinks is playing the best game so far. He even dives into Survivor 50, talks about returning players, and reveals which cast members from Survivor 49 remind him of people from his own season. Plus, some Big Brother crossover talk, life updates, his NYC marathon experience, and whether he'd ever return to Survivor if the call came. It's thoughtful, honest, and surprisingly funny. A really refreshing deep dive into someone who's brought a ton of heart into Survivor. Let's get into it.
Mitch, I'm so excited to be talking to you. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
So it's wild. It's already been a year and a half since Survivor 48 filmed. So how has life been for you since leaving Fiji?
Yes, things are going really good. Honestly, I can't believe it has been that long since I was in Fiji. Um, Things are going good. Things are kind of somewhat back to normal. I'm still teaching elementary school PE, and I'm helping coach the high school tennis team, and things are somewhat normal um, uh, other than people w- recognizing me everywhere I go.
Was there anything difficult about transitioning back into normal life after doing the show?
Yeah, honestly, I had a really hard time coming back. Yeah, like it is a really crazy experience, and for myself, like I wanted to get out there forever, and then the application process is like, for me, it was from April to like, excuse me, from October to like the end of April. So it's like a very long process. And then you go out there and you film, and then you come home and you can't talk about it with anyone. So it is a pretty hard transition. And I got home on a Friday, and then I went on a small trip with some of my really close friends, and had to be back at work on Monday. So I didn't really get any time to like rest at all. So it was definitely a pretty quick transition.
So we'll get into your season a little bit later, but let's talk about the current season, season 49. So how are you liking the season? Who are your favorites? Tell me all your thoughts on the current season.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed it so far. I felt like the beginning of the season was a little slow, just because like the same tribe kept losing. So I think a bunch of people felt like it was slow, and it was like pretty obvious who was going home those first few votes. But I really enjoyed it because I was getting to enjoy the show again as someone who has like been a fan of it since season two. I was happy to turn in every Wednesday, and I wasn't concerned about what people were were saying on the internet about me because I wasn't out there. So I got to just like enjoy it for what it is. So,
So,
um,
so who are some of your favorite players?
yeah, I really like Rizzo. Um, I love MC. I'm pulling for Yellow Sophie because she was our alternate for season 48. Um, yeah, those are a few of the people who I have like really gravitated towards. I also really enjoy Steven. So yeah.
What about Annie? Because Annie's also from Texas. Do you find yourself rooting for Texas people when they're on the show?
Oh, absolutely. I was so sad once I watched the season premiere because I just had a feeling that she wasn't going to make it too far just because of how her tribe dynamics were. So I was really sad that she wasn't out there um, past episode 2.
So let's go back to episode 3 when Jake was medically evacuated from the game. What did you think of Jake's medevac from the game?
Yeah, that was so wild. I honestly couldn't believe it because literally a year before, like I was out there too, and I don't really think I ever thought that could have happened to me. So just seeing it happen to someone else and um thankfully he like was okay and it wasn't as serious as it could have been. It was like really hard to watch, and it like just goes to show you that Survivor is real. Like if it wasn't real or it was edited, excuse me, or if it was like staged or whatever, then all of those cameramen would have intervened and not let that happen. But Survivor is as real as it gets, even if something like very dangerous could happen. Like it is a show, and all of us kind of know what we're signing up for, and obviously everyone at CBS is gonna like take care of us, but they are not going to get in the middle of the game.
And since you were in Fiji yourself just a year ago, did you have any run-ins with any snakes or animals like that?
No, absolutely not. In the evenings, like whenever we were like getting ready to go to sleep, like you could hear different animals like w- 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 running like next to us and stuff, and like whenever we would sleep in the sand, like you would have to be very mindful of like crabs and stuff. But that was really the only experience I had with anything crazy out there when me and Kyle and Shawkeen went um fishing. Like we like had some encounters with some like animals in the ocean. So like all of us were like pretty mindful of like if any of us see anything, like let's just be extra careful.
So after Jake was medically evacuated from the game and Jeremiah was voted out, so were the last two members of their tribe. How do you think that your tribe, Sibu, would have went if you guys lost 4 members in the pre-merge? Who would have been the last 2 of your tribe?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, with how all of those relationships ended up, I really do think it would have been a combination of me, Kyle, Camilla. Um, I know that Kyle and David and Chrissy and Camilla like had a group of 4. They called themselves the Eva 4. But I was also pretty close with Charity and had a working relationship with everyone. So it just would have depended on like how those first few challenges went. Um, but not to brag, like I felt like I was a huge help on all of them. I like played a pretty key role in every one of those community w- w- wins. So I don't really think I would have been going anywhere, even though I wasn't super close with anyone yet.
Yeah, and this season ended up having 2 tribe swaps. Your season also had a tribe swap. Are you a fan of the tribe swap, or do you like season without one?
Um, Preferably, I don't want to tribe swap, but it does make really good TV. Just because you don't ever know what's gonna happen. I kind of enjoyed them having multiple swaps, but as someone who is out there, like it's incredibly hard when you're playing a game and you don't really know what's about to come up. And Survivor is a game that is a lot about about luck, and sometimes you just end up in a spot you can't really get out of. Um, so for me, unfortunately, when we swapped, like I swapped to a tribe that had zero agency moving forward. So sometimes it's incredibly beneficial, and then other times it absolutely crushes your whole game.
So we saw MC get voted out last episode. You said that she was one of your favorites. What were your thoughts on MC's game?
I wish we got to see more of it. Unfortunately, she was on a tribe that kept winning at the early stages of this game, which so was I. So you sometimes don't really get to see exactly what's happening because you aren't going to 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 tribal council. So unfortunately, we really couldn't get to see a lot of the relationships that MC had, and I knew she was probably not gonna be there super deep into the game because she was just such a physical threat. She was literally running circles around everyone out there in some of those challenges. Honestly, I felt like she should have been on our season with just like how physically fit she was.
And 3 people that we have seen a lot in the edit are Savannah and Rizzo and Sophie. They have all the advantages in the game. How do you think that they're going to navigate being on the bottom, but they have all the advantages now?
But that is a great question. I'm incredibly jealous. Wish when I was on the bottom I had all of those advantages. I had one when we were at 12. And what's hard about the advantage that I had, it was just a a block a vote, which really doesn't help you if you don't have any other numbers that you can really count on at that point. But fortunately for Rizzo, like he has an idol blue and um blue and blue blue Sophie has the knowledge is power, which is a game changer, like in so many ways that's huge. And then Savannah, like having an extra vote. Um, all of them are so close. Like you can, even though those three were on the wrong side of that first vote, like it still doesn't feel like they're really on the bottom because they have so much ammunition. And it seems like this season's going to be a little more fluid. Like it doesn't seem like everyone's gonna stick with who they've been voting with, which I feel like is going to make for a great rest of the season.
So does anyone on this cast remind you of yourself or anybody else from your season?
That's a really good question. Oh my goodness. I think Savannah reminds me of a girl version of of Shaheen. I think she's a gamer. She's like really good at her confessionals. She's really good at having conversations with people, and she's a really big social threat. And I think that was something that he was also really good at. Um, I think um, blue, 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 blue Sophie is kind of reminding me of Say, just in the way she like gives her confessionals. Like she is authentically herself in every moment. She is the one who's really pushing the story of the season, and obviously it helps when you go to literally every tribal council. So it seems like she has been a really big focus on the season, which is a big perk when you go to every tribal council.
Have you met any of this cast yet?
Yeah, I met Yellow Sophie, who's awesome, and obviously I hope she does really well. I met Rizzo, who I'm literally obsessed with. He is a great dude. It also helps that like the first time I met him, he was like, Mitch, like, can we get a picture? My girlfriend really really loves you. So I was like, oh great, like thank you so much. Um, I've met Christina, who's awesome. I would love if we got to see her more. I'm like shocked at how she isn't out there. But those are a few that I've met. Oh, and Annie, who is a character. She is so fun.
What did you think of the two people getting removed from the game before it even started, getting replaced by Jason and MC?
Yeah, when I heard about that, I was floored. You work so hard, like you work so hard to get all the way out there, and you, they're like pretty explicit when they're like, "Hey, like you can't talk, you can't look at each other. You're like want to be respectful of the game, and like you just I just don't really understand how you put yourself in a position after working so hard to be one of 18 people to get picked to have this incredible experience, and you can't hold off like a couple, like literally a few more hours before the game starts. And I guess from what was what was said was like it was like pretty obvious that they were asked multiple times to hey to cut it out, and I'm just yeah, like that sucks. So
Yeah, so clearly those two made the pregame really interesting. So do you think that the season would be more interesting if the two of them were on the cast?
um I'm sure it would have been very chaotic if both of them were willing to like all already like have all of these conversations, and when you're like obviously not supposed to, but honestly like I don't think either of them should have been out there. I think the producers made the the best call. Like everyone else was like doing what they were supposed to be doing. Like you can't like if you love Survivor, you have to respect it. And yeah, like if you're gonna give yourself a huge advantage, then you shouldn't be um out there then.
And you mentioned how Yellow Sophie was the alternate for your season. Do you think that alternates like her have an advantage going out to Fiji for a second time?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. You just like know what to expect. Like you know how it feels. You know what it's like to go out there and not be able to communicate. You know how to like work through journaling and listening to music and reading a book and like working on stuff, and it really lets you have an advantage because it's one less thing that you're anxious about. Like you already know what's about to happen. So yeah, like I feel like it is huge out of a huge out of excuse me, a huge advantage.
So how do you think that she would have done on your season if she was on the cast?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really don't think I've ever really thought about that. Because if you have her out there and someone else um, isn't, which like just having one person can like dramatically change everything. I honestly think she would have made our season interesting because she is a competitor. She is really social. She like understands the game really well. So I'm sure she would have m- made a huge um, impact.
Why do you think that we need two people the same name, two Sophies on the cast in the first place? Do you think there's been 49 seasons? You don't think they can separate two Sophies?
Well, I know it's happened a few times before, um, but I think both of those girls are incredible, and the producers w- wanted them both out there. Yellow Sophie had already had to wait a, a whole year, and like when you look at the cast and you look at the blue tribe, like you really needed a blue Sophie too. Like she really was a great addition. So I think both of them had to be out there. It's crazy that both of them are still in the game, but yeah, it is definitely making it a little sometimes harder to have conversations about the show. But I think both of those girls are absolutely killing it. So
But how would you feel if on your season there was another Mitch out there? How would you feel about that?
I'd be pissed, to be completely honest with you. I'd be furious. But if you have someone else out there with the same name as you, or uh, someone else who has played that has the same name, like you better go out there and make a name for for yourself.
Are you targeting the other Mitch, or are you making a Mitch alliance?
I would get rid of the film first, absolutely.
And I think you're the only Mitch in Survivor history. I can't think of another Mitch off the top of my head.
I think there might have been one like on one of the earlier seasons, but I think his name
Yeah,
was was Mitchell.
yeah, in the Outback, yeah, season 2, Mitchell. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
there we go. But yeah,
So if you were on the season, who do you think that you would have wanted to align with?
oh, that's a good question. Well, if I'm talking about season 49, I'm not talking about in the future if we ever play again. So just like, um, if I was on this current season, I really like Steven. I would have worked with Steven for sure. Um, who? Yes, on the Yellow Tribe, I would have worked with Steven. I would have worked with MC. Um, I really enjoy Savannah and Rizzo. I think both of them are really big fans of the show, so I like would have had a easier time working with them. And I really enjoyed Nate. Um, I felt like I would have been able to like have some super good conversations with him.
And who do you think is playing the best game right now? Who's your winner pick at this point?
Um, I think in this moment, the people who are in a very good spot are is Sage. She's in the middle of everyone, which that's kind of where Kyle was last year. But Kyle didn't have to show his cards um, really at all until it got really deep in the game. So that's my only concern for her is like she kind of already showed her cards because of that first vote at the merge. But it still looks like everyone's wanting to work with her still. So right now, it feels like she's in the driver seat, but I don't think you can count out Savannah or Rizzo or Blue Sophie, just because all of them seem so close and they have so many advantages. And I just feel like the fact that MC went home and they didn't even make Rizzo flush the idol just really makes me worried that they're going to be able to hang in there. So
And what about Juwan? I feel like Juwan's the only person we haven't talked about yet that's still in the game.
yeah, Jawan. I feel like he's in the driver's seat, but he's not. But I don't really think he's the one driving any of the votes. He's in the middle, but I just feel like he's kind of all over the place in some moments. If, uh, like I wish he would have like made Rizzo play his idol, and even if Kofi or MC end up going home, like who cares? Um, I just have a feeling that he like isn't going to really, really stick his foot down, and I think a couple of the other players are.
Is there anything else about this current season that you want to say before we get into your season?
Um, I am just really happy that all of them are out there. I know it has to be really hard to be the season before 50. I just want to tell them congratulations for even getting to go out there and play. And for everyone who's watching the season, like, cut these people some slack. Like, it is incredibly hard, and I don't think sometimes people remember that this is a hard game. These people are out there starving, and are trying to do their absolute best. But I'm excited to see how the rest of the season plays out.
So what is your casting star, Mitch? How did you end up on Survivor in the first place?
Yeah, so I started watching Survivor in 2001. I remember watching the season fun finale of Survivor. Uh, the Aus- the Australian Outback. I remember watching Colby and Tina sitting at the final tribal count. So, and I was like, I love them both so much. And then I watched Survivor Africa from the start to the finish, and I fell in love with Ethan and Big Tom and Kim and all of these like really big characters, and I was like, this show is wild, it's so cool. And over the next few seasons I just like kept watching the show. It wasn't until Survivor Amazon when I saw Cr- Chris Smith, who was out there. She is a person who um, is death, and just seeing someone who has their own struggles getting to play Survivor like really gave me hope that maybe one day I too could go out and have this crazy adventure. um so you um Once I was in college, I started applying in 2012. I applied. I got a call back for like season 29, 30 ish. And then they told me to make a video with a, a, a family member. So me and my dad made a video, and we filled out an application, and we didn't ever hear anything back after that. And then over the next few seasons, I like send in applications. I had a call in like 2014 with Jesse Tannenbaum when he like was just one of the casting agents. And he's like, hey, I like really enjoy you, but it just like doesn't make sense at the moment. So over the next few seasons, I like kept turning in applications, and in 2022, I got this random text from one of the casting directors, um, Daniel. And he was like, "Hey, I just like saw one of your videos," and I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I haven't filled out an application in forever." So then we like hop on a call. He like encourages me to make a new video. When that ended up, it ended up not working out. I was watching Survivor season 45, which I loved. And that same casting producer, he posted on his Instagram story the evening that Caleb was voted out, and I was like, man, he was incredible. Like I loved him a lot. And then the casting di- director was like, "Hey, Mitch, like, how are you? Like, are you still interested?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So that was on a Monday. We hopped on a call on Wednesday. He told me to fill out another video. I submitted it on Sunday. He texted me and was like, "Mitch, we're gonna show you to the executives." And then a couple weeks later, I'm like on a call with Jeff, and I crushed it. And then I hop on a call with the other executives, and one of the executives was like, "How have you been applying for 12 years, and this is the first time we're ever like having a conversation with you?" And I was like, "That's a good question for Jesse Pinnenbaum." So yeah, the the rest is history. Every interview just went really great, and I ended up getting out there. So
So it was a long process to getting on the show, but are you ultimately happy that you were on the season that you were on?
yes, I could have been on multiple other seasons. I could have played a few times at this point. But yeah, like I like truly am so thankful that I was on season 48. Like I love everyone I played with. Like truly, I feel super close with a bunch of them, and I'm sure if I would have been out there years ago, I like would have been a completely different person. I probably would have been a little more entertaining because I would have been a train wreck out there. But I felt like this was like the perfect group of people.
And how has your fandom changed since doing the show? But some people they get more invested into the show after doing it, and some people kind of loses the magic after doing the show. So how has your fandom changed since doing it?
Yeah, I think when I was a fan, like I was really harsh. I like talked a bunch of crap about people. I'm like, "You're an idiot. Like, I can't believe you would make that move." Like, um, but as someone who has played and had the internet talk a lot of crap about them, I realize um, that it is an edited show, and they are sharing this story with a specific viewpoint in mind because of who the winner is and how things play out. Like there's just so much stuff they aren't able to show unless it has a drastic impact on what happens. And as someone who experienced that firsthand, like I am definitely more appreciative of everyone who has played and people who probably didn't get the best edit or whose stories weren't really told as well as others. But yeah, I like really appreciate everyone who has played, and I understand that there is a dramatic difference from what happens out there and the story that is told.
So looking back on your season, is there anything you wish you would have done differently? And when are you going to make a move?
Yeah, I think. Oh man, obviously, like hindsight is 2020, but what what I think people don't really remember or realize is that I was on the only person on the wrong side of the vote without knowing that's where the votes were going when we were at the merge vote. When everyone voted Charity out, like I was the only one who really couldn't see that coming. And everyone I was close with up to that point, like literally did not tell me. So the fact that I was able to make it through that vote, then when we had the split tribal council and we voted out um, like I would have loved to had taken a shot at Eva. Like I wanted to do that, but when you're out there and you don't know the people who you're out there with really well yet, it's just so hard to make a crazy move that close to the jury. But also, it's like you've just done so much to get there, and you wanna get to tomorrow. I think I wish I didn't use my 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 block of votes at that tribal because it could have helped us at the next one, but I just didn't want to have a target on me at that point, and I felt like I was going home at the very next one, so I like wanted to build some trust with Eva and Joe and everyone else, and I was able to make it to the final six, and then make it to the final five with Kyle and Camilla, who I was incredibly close with out there. Um, all of us thought that Eva and Joe was a lot of us thought that everyone thought Joe was running the game. So nobody wanted to sit next to him at that point. So I was okay where I was because I thought there were so many other really big threats that everybody would want to keep me. But unfortunately, I should have tried to vote with Joe, Eva, and Shaheen at the final six. I think if I would have been able to vote out Kyle or Camilla, then like things like drastically open up for me to at least have a shot at w- w- winning. I wasn't going to beat Kyle for Camilla, unfortunately, but I wanted one of us to w- win, which is like how come I was like so devastated when they voted me off because I was like, what? I thought all of us were going. So that was the only really big thing I like would have switched was I wish I would have tried voting out one of those two at the final six. And literally, like I couldn't win a challenge the second half of like the the game, which was so frustrating.
Going back to the pregame, was there someone in the pregame that you pegged that could be a big threat or could potentially win the game?
I really thought that Joe was going to be a really big threat moving forward. I thought um him and Shaheen were going to be really dangerous. I really didn't think Kyle was going to be such a big threat because I don't know. He just has this w- 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 way of just coming across like really average and just like everyone else next to you. But I would say both of those two, and I was also really wor- wor- worried about about Mary. She just is like an incredible shape. You could just see that she was like really confident. So I thought that she was going to be a really dangerous player, m- 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 moving, uh, moving, moving forward.
Do you think that if you got to the end that you could have won the game? What about Camilla as well?
If Camilla was sitting at the end with any of the final six of us, yes, I think hands down, Camilla probably beats every one of us. Just because she and I were playing from the bottom and she won multiple challenges. Like she just had a really great story and was very outspoken about being on the bottom. I think regardless of what the edit showed, um, I thought that if I was sitting there at the end, regardless of who I was sitting next to, like I would have had a chance to get multiple votes, just because of the relationships I had with everyone on the jury. I think if I'm sitting next to Joe and Eva, I get every one of the votes from the original Eva. I think I also get Cedric's vote. Um, it was just whether or not I was able to to get um to get there.
And at the time that you were voted out, did you predict at that point that Kyle was going to be the winner? And if not Kyle, then who?
Yeah. At that point in the game, I knew Kyle was in the best position. Whenever I like voted for him, when I was voted out, I like said like, hey, like I hope this since the last time that I'm voting for you. Like I obviously knew I was going home at that point, and I knew that if he got there, he was going to win. I think the only way Kyle doesn't win, and is if it's him and Camilla, and then it would have been really competitive.
And how do you rank Kyle compared to the other winners?
Oh my gosh, I think he is. I'm gonna say he's probably one of the top 10 best winners of all time. And the reason I say that it's because he was never in control of the votes. Excuse me. It it wasn't ever really obvious that he was the one that was in control of a lot of the votes for the majority of the 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 game. The fact that he was able to keep me and Camilla safe in the game up till the final six, when the two of us weren't ever really in the majority al- al- alliance. Like just goes to show you how good of a game he was playing, because he knew that both of us wanted to play with him, and he was still able to keep Joe and Eva and Shaheen okay with keeping us. And ultimately, like, not saying that me and Camille are the reason that Kyle ended up w- w- winning, but like we ultimately played a big role. And him having the the the, the numbers.
And how do you think the season as a whole compares to other seasons? How do you think the fans feel about it? Because fans weren't the highest on the season.
Yeah, I think when people go back and watch our season, I think it's going to be a lot more enjoyable when they're able to just watch each episode after each episode. I think what was hard, there were a couple of moments throughout the season when we kept saying we wanted to make a move, or we were trying to do something and it just like never happened, or it didn't make sense for all of us, which that's the only way you can really do anything, is if everyone agrees that it's in their best interest to make a move together. And I think that's what people don't really understand. It's like, I would have loved to make a move, but when everyone else is in a really good spot in the game, and those are the people who you can get to make a move with you, and none of them want to, it's like, well, I'm ultimately just one person, and I can't make a move on my own without having an idol or an advantage. Um, so I think the the people who watch Survivor as a very casual Survivor fan really enjoyed the show. They loved it. I think the super fans who want to see a very cutthroat game hated us.
But one good thing about the season was the representation in the season, that you were on the season, as well as Eva being the first openly autistic person. So what do you think of the representation of the season?
Yeah, obviously, like, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to get out there, and I'm happy that Eva was also able to have her own experience. I cannot tell you the amount of people who have like had emotional conversations with me, whether in person or like on like social 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 media, who like were impacted because of our stories. Um, and it's always a huge honor to be a part of a show that is nominated for m- m- for m- for multiple for multiple Emmys.
And what was your favorite part of doing the whole Survivor experience?
Um, I think just um my favorite part of the overall experience was all of the incredible relationships that have come from it all, whether it was the people I played with, but also like all of the former players who I've like gotten to build a relationship with, and just getting to meet different people who have been watching the show forever. It's really cool just like hearing how much people still love the show after it being on for 49 seasons.
And so, speaking of those relationships, who do you keep in touch with from your cast?
I keep in touch with Kyle like every day. I'm super close with Shaheen, and I keep in touch with Joe and Camilla and Charity. Every once in a while, I'll get a text message from from David asking me if I've gone to the 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 gym, which is great. But yeah, like overall, like all of us are like still pretty close, whether we're incredibly good friends or we aren't. Like most of us are, keeping up with each other as w- well as we can.
So you said that you've been trying to get on Survivor for a long time, but was there any other show that you would have wanted to have been on, or was it always Survivor for you that you wanted to be on?
Yeah, I applied and interviewed for Big Brother while I was at college at Texas A&M. I had a few interviews then, but I don't think I would have been as great on that show back in like winning 2012, 13, 14. They were more interested in people um, like Corey Brooks and Clay Honeycutt, who were also at A&M when I was. So that's really crazy that I also got to play, um, even if it was like 10 years after all that. But yeah, I would love to go play Big Brother. I think it's forever though. Like I don't know if I could stay in a house for 100 days. That is a long time. Yeah, that's so long. Um, and I feel like it's slow. Like I would probably just go crazy in that house. I would love to go on the amazing race with my best friend Josh. That is honestly the show I'm trying to get on next. to be completely honest. But yeah, I am open to any other opportunities that come this way.
And that was actually my next question. That the current season of The Amazing Race is all Big Brother players with loved ones. Would you like them to see that do them with Survivor?
Oh my gosh, I hope they do that in the next year. I know they already filmed another season, and I think the next one is season 40.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like they'll probably do a huge season for season 40, which would probably be a bunch of people who have already played before. But for season 41, they should definitely do uh, only teams from Survivor. I think that would be really entertaining. I would love to go and play with my best friend Josh. If not Josh, then I would go play with Charity. I would go play with Kyle. So, yeah.
And what about the challenge? Would you be interested in the challenge?
Yes, I have been watching the challenge since 2000. Like, I've seen every season, like, when it actually aired. I think I would do really well on it just because there's like so many different challenges and I am like surprisingly athletic, which is what everybody like always tells me. I think I would be able to play a pretty good social game, and I don't really think anyone would think I'm a big threat out there because I am 150 pounds, like soaking wet. Um, but I would be open to doing the challenge for sure. So if anyone's out there and you hear that, please give me a call. I know some of them already went out recently, but I am interested as well.
And I'm sure you would do Survivor again, but would you rather do Survivor a second time or another show?
I am a Survivor fan through and through. I would love any opportunity to go out there. Obviously, the producers enjoyed us because Kyle, Camilla, and Joe went back out there. Out of all 49 seasons, having multiple people go back is a great sign. So yeah, obviously, I would love to go back on Survivor before any other show. But also, like, um, I would be appreciative of any opportunity that came this direction.
So you just mentioned how Kyle and Camille and Joe are on 50. Who else besides those three would you want to see come back and do another show?
Oh man, I would love to watch Thomas play Survivor again. I would love to watch Bianca and and Mary play Survivor again. Um, Obviously, I want to watch my boy Shaheen play. Um, and I'll even go and say I would enjoy watching Say get to play again. Sometimes her and I butt heads every once in a while, but I truly do love her a lot, and she's great TV.
So let's get into season 50, Mitch. So were you contacted at all for season 50?
I was not called. I don't even think I'm allowed to say if I actually was or not, but no, I was not called, and I honestly like wasn't expecting to be called because I know they wanted they wanted j- wanted Joe, so there was no reason to call anyone else.
Yeah, I talked to Jelinski from 46 a few weeks ago, and he said that he didn't say he was called, but he said that people were calling him saying, "Oh, if we were out there, let's have a pregame alliance." So were people calling you saying, "Oh, Mitch, if we're out there, let's have an alliance" or anything like that?
There were a lot of conversations happening from other people in the Survivor community. I was not having any calls like that, but I heard there were a lot of calls. But yeah, Survivor is a big social game. So obviously, all of those previous relationships that people have, are either extremely helpful or could end up hurting you. So I'm interested to see how Survivor 50 plays out with all of those previous relationships.
So if you went back out there, who would be your dream player from any season of Survivor that you would want to play with?
Oh man, I'll say for the people on season 50, I would have loved to have played with Colby. I would have loved to have played with Stephanie and Sheree and Mike White and Angelina. I really would have enjoyed playing with some of those old school players. Um, yeah, I would have loved that so much. Um, uh, I had a few people reach out who were on season 15, um, who, when everybody got home, were like, "Hey, Mitch, like, we heard incredible things about you from the people you played with and from other people who had all who had conversations with you over the past few months. We were all expecting you to be be out out there." Um, so just like hearing from some of those people that they like expected me to uh, be out there like was incredibly humbling.
So how do you think that Joe and Camilla and Kyle will do?
I'm excited to see how it plays out. All three of them are really great players. All of them play very different games, and it'll be interesting seeing how all three of them are able to overcome the huge targets that are on them. Like literally, they flew out to Fiji the Monday after our season finished airing. So we were all hanging out together Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday morning, and then all of them had to be at the airport on Monday.
So you had to have known they were going then, or did they not tell you, or was it a surprise to you?
No, I didn't know anything, and I truthfully mean that. Um, Hold on one second, my phone is getting low. Um, I didn't know anything, had like no idea at all. Um, so I was shocked when the spoilers were coming out. Like, this is the rumor cast for season 50. I was like, no, that's not real because I haven't heard anything about it. And sure enough, it was real. And I was one, super excited for all of them. I got really emotional whenever I found out. Like I was so happy for all of them, but also it's like kind of triggering when like the people you are extremely close with like aren't able to like have a conversation with you and tell you what's actually happening. And it was like I just like I just had to watch y'all vote me out again on Wednesday, and a few days later, I find out that y'all are going on 50, and none of y'all told me. Like, this is triggering.
And what about since they got home? 'Cause I'm sure you've talked with them and probably hung out with them since they got home.
Yeah, it was really hard when all three of them went out there because, like, I like speak with all of them like pretty consistently, um, but um, it was just hard because I like wanted them to be doing okay, and I wanted them to be successful, and I wanted them to like enjoy this experience, and so it was a lot harder being on this end of it where you don't have any clue of what's happening or what's going on, and so
And who are some of the big misses on the cast that you would have liked to have seen on 50 that aren't on?
um listen, I know that the producers are really good at what they do. I know there were a lot of people who were very upset about the cast, and you would have thought that it was the end of the world uh, um, at how upset some of these people were. But you can't have all of the big new era players all go back because if they want to do a second chance season in the next year or two or three, like you want to have some heavy hitters. So obviously would have been great to see Carolyn out there or Rug 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 Card or
Jesse.
Jesse. Yeah, I was very shocked that he didn't make the cut. But if there's another season with all returners or just new era players, like all of those people are going to come back. I think I was more shocked by some of the old school players you didn't get the opportunity to come back, like Amanda, um,
Jerry.
yeah, but Jerry's played a lot. Like, yes, I would love to have seen her, but like we've seen her and Colby. Like we've seen a lot of those stories play out, and yes, it would have been incredible to watch them. Oh gosh, hold on, sorry. Um, it would have been incredible to see all of those people, but listen, you also gotta invest in the future of your show and you having people come out six, seven times, like sooner or later, like the people you haven't shown, like aren't going to want to go out there.
So this is also a Big Brother podcast. So I wanted to briefly touch on Big Brother. So I don't know if you remember, but we actually met at the Big Brother 26 premiere party in New York City.
Yes, I do remember that. That was a wild night. I'm gonna be very honest. It was so fun getting to meet all the players from this last season of Big Brother and former players as well. Just like super cool hanging out with everybody. Yeah, it was great getting to meet everyone out there.
And the fans.
Literally, they were so fun.
So what is your history with Big Brother? Are you a big fan? Have you never seen the show? Are you a casual fan?
Yes, I have been watching Big Brother for just as long as I was watching Survivor. There was a good chunk where I stopped watching just because I'm like, it's so hard to keep up with it whenever it's on multiple nights a week. But like, I remember watching season 6 of Big Brother, and season 7 was one of my all-time favorites. Just like so many great players. So yeah, I love Big Brother. Um, I just like haven't watched it as consistently as I've watched Survivor.
Well, since you follow my page, Mitch, I'm the top guy to go to for Big Brother, so you're in the right spot.
There we go. Hell yeah.
So Big Brother has the America's Favorite Player that they do every season. That Survivor, they don't have that, but they used to have the C Award. Are you upset that they don't do the C Award anymore? Because that's probably something that you would have won.
Absolutely heartbroken. She ended it before I played because who knows? Yeah, that would have been really great to have after I got voted off.
What players from your season of Survivor from 48 do you think would do well in the Big Brother house?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Um, I think uh Bianca and Thomas and Shaheen would run circles around anyone in that house. I think Stephanie would do incredible. Golly, I wish that people got to see how incredible she is. Because I think she like would have done incredible out there if she had been on any other starting to, tribe. But I think those are a few people who would have done incredible out there.
So what have you learned about yourself doing reality TV? Has it affected your view of yourself at all?
Yeah, I think it has. I think, like deep down, I always told myself I was like really confident in who I w- was and what I have to bring to the table. But I think going through the casting process and getting to play Survivor, and especially like afterwards, like I just feel so much more confident in who I am and what I'm capable of doing. Like I am literally the first person who stutters to get to play on any major reality show. And like just getting through the application process is incredibly hard for anyone. but much less for someone who has a pretty severe speech impediment. So I really showed myself that I truly am like capable of doing hard things, and um, I hope that other people are inspired that if I can get through the casting process and I can get on Survivor, that they can too. It's just you have to be really good at telling your story. And you got to figure out like what makes you unique. So yeah, I am so proud of all that I have accomplished, and look forward to all the future opportunities that are headed here.
And do you think that you going on the show is going to open up more opportunities in the future for other people with the stutter or speech impediment to go on future reality shows?
Yeah, I do. I think sometimes like you don't really know what someone is capable of, or you don't think it's you don't think it's possible until you see someone who looks like you or speaks like you do. Wing it, and I think that goes for everyone who is like sending in these applications, but I also think it goes for like the people who work in casting and who are executives for these huge TV shows. Like when I was going through the application process and interviewing, like it was something we were definitely like openly having conversations about. Of like, hey, like this is going to be hard. I know it might be uncomfortable for y'all and for me, and you might have a lot of questions because you haven't ever seen it before. But I think when you see someone who who is a little different than you and who has a story that hasn't ever really been told before, it gives hope that other people can also do it. But um, I think it takes a very special person to get on reality TV, much less like someone who has a speech impediment. Like, trust me, most people who stutter like do not want to have conversations. So I just hope it shows people who stutter that like if I can do it, so can you.
And you recently in New York that you ran the New York City Marathon. How was that, Mitch?
Oh my gosh, it truly was a incredible experience. I got connected with an organization called Hammerman Angels that provides one-on-one support for people who have cancer or who have a loved one with cancer. And I got connected to that organization through Ethan from Survivor Africa. So just like an incredible experience overall. A couple of my really good friends were able to make the trip to New York, and some of my friends in the area came out, and I got to see um, Kyle and his w- wife were out there supporting me. So yeah, it truly was an incredible experience. I'm already looking forward to going back out there again next year.
And I know D was there too. Did you run into D at all?
Yeah, we all hung out on Friday night because Kyle hosted a Halloween birthday party. So everyone who is in the Survivor community who is out in the area was there. So it was really good to connect with a bunch of them. So yeah.
So what's next for you, Mitch? Do you have anything coming up?
Yeah, I have a really big speaking engagement on Wednesday, and then in a couple weeks, Eva and I are speaking at a conference together on National Persons with Disabilities Day. So I'm excited to partner with her for that event. And then in December, I'm going to Over the Edge, which is a charity event in Orlando, Florida, with a bunch of reality stars. I am helping raise money for the National Stuttering Association. So just super thankful for this small platform I've been given. So just want to make as big of an impact as I can. And after that, just gonna enjoy the holidays and see what the next few months have in store for me. Just trying to get back into the same shape I was in before I went to go play Survivor. So
And where can people find you online and connect with you?
yeah, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at M Guerski. That's Mguerski. I'm like pretty good at responding to people's Instagram messages. And if I can ever help or support you in your own journey with trying to get on reality TV, I would love to help in any way I can. If that means watching your video and providing some encouragement, I would love to help because I had so many other uh, former players who were just like so encouraging and helpful. So,
What about Cameo? Are you on Cameo, Mitch?
oh my gosh, yes, I'm also on Cameo, and honestly, it is like one of my favorite things I get to do is just get to share some behind the scenes story about things that weren't shown on Survivor or get things to share about my own personal experiences while getting to play and just being a part of this wild, crazy reality TV family. So yes, you can find me on Cameo for people's birthdays or just an encouraging note.
All right, Mitch, that was everything I had for you. So thank you so much for coming and talking to me today. It was a pleasure to get your insights in the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you so much, Josh. I had a blast, and I look forward to seeing the other interviews you have. And if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, okay?
Okay, thank you, Mitch.
Thank you so much.